Welcome to Combat Clash, where the top 50 players in the world test their mettle against each other on the ranked arena and compete for the top spot on this season's ladder. Today's match takes us to Cliffside, a fun little map with plenty of resources all across the center, alongside lots and lots of cliffs and ridges. So, lots of opportunities for some interesting plays and choke points. On the yellow side, we have Orange playing the Japanese, and on the blue side, we have Igor1999 playing the Malians. Right off the bat, it looks like we have a barracks opening from the Japanese, already bringing out, queuing up two spearmen, so we're going to be seeing some early Dark Age pressure from the Japanese side. And meanwhile, a pretty standard opening with the Malians, looking to get those houses up along that pit mine as soon as possible. And other than that, looking to see, we'll see exactly what Japan wants to do here with how much damage they're able to get off with this Dark Age pressure. They're definitely going to be looking to try to burn down some of these houses, just slow down that Malian boom as much as they are able, especially in the early game. It makes a huge difference, just doing everything you can to stop that economic boom, because as Malians with their pit mines, the cows, looking for a cow boom, they have a very, very big economic boom come late game. So Japan's going to be looking to do a little bit of damage and slow that down. But that being said, Japan is also a civ with a very strong economy behind, even with this type of pressure. So we are seeing a little bit of harass trying to do some damage. Looks like he did take some TC pressure trying to deal with that villager there. Almost lost two of those spearmen, but he is going to be able to push them off at least a little bit. But more than likely, we're going to see this tower complete. Maybe he might be able to get a snipe here, but it's going to be dangerous. Oh, yep, and one spearman goes down with 10 villagers up on these sheep. It's going to be really hard for him to do anything against this. And I think very quickly we're going to see this pressure halted. Shouldn't affect Japan too much. He only queued up those first two and is now looking to just push forward with his age up as quickly as he can. Not exactly the damage he was hoping to be able to do here. Unfortunately, wasn't able to actually get any buildings, wasn't able to, and unfortunately even lost spearmen. So he actually had, my apologies, he had 3 spearmen that he committed to. Lost one and nearly lost a second. So he's just going to be poking around the base, seeing if there's any other exposed resource maybe that the Malians would be looking to take. But, unfortunately with, this early in the game, Dark Age, we don't really need wood, especially with, he's already got his houses up, and we do have that mill producing cows. First cow is out. And yeah, it looks like Malian's going to be going a pretty standard, just cow boom economy focus. I doubt he'll kill this. He's more than likely just going to be getting ready to put up some of those pastures. And the Matsukori is coming out. So Feudal Age getting started with the Malians. 6 villagers on it, so he's looking to get this age up pretty quickly. Meanwhile, Kura Storehouse going down for Japan with the standard sort of 4 villagers. Kura Storehouse, really both of these landmarks, honestly, so really a sort of economic backbone to both of these civilizations, especially in the Feudal Age. Kura Storehouse provides a large amount of free farms just slowly over time. So they have a lot of free food. It's kind of one of the reasons, this landmark here is one of the reasons why the Japanese are such a good civ, especially early on. They can really delay and stretch out the food sources that they do have, just because they get that continual free supply of farms. It means they don't have to spend the wood on them, and they get free food. And conversely, Matsukori provides a free gold. So different resources, but in both cases generates quite a bit for each civ. Japan continuing to just scope out the potentially secondary pit mine from Malians, which he has not actually committed to quite yet. So they are going to be able to, if he decides to go this way, maybe delay the pit mine a little bit. But I wouldn't be surprised to see Malians just take up this northwestern gold mine instead. A little bit more undefendable, but needless to say, we do have, let's see, no more aggression coming out. It looks like we are starting to get some economic upgrades coming in. Japan getting the Tawara upgrade. This is Japan's equivalent of the wheelbarrow. It's actually broken off into 3 tiers. So he's looking to get that started, and they are both actually looking to get double broadaxe to just get that wood income a little bit quicker, and so they can get more buildings out. All right, and a mill mining camp is going down at the pit mine, so yeah, it is actually going to be looking to also start producing, just start actually mining gold, not just taking the free gold provided by these houses. Currently at 90 gold per minute just from this one pit mine. And he's got another, we can see 75 gold per minute from the Manzakori. Meanwhile, Japan is leaving these farms unmilled. So not quite looking to transfer over to this farm economy, this free farm economy quite yet. And instead focusing a bit more on wood. Quite a few villagers, so have 13 villagers on wood at the moment. And also looking to branch out and take this deer pack at the front of his base. So he's already got his survival techniques. So no issue there. And yeah, I would be expecting to see some level of pressure from the Japanese side fairly soon. But okay, we have a stable and an archery range going down and a second archery range. So we're going to likely be seeing some horsemen Yumi push into, try to do some damage and put some pressure on the Malians. Malians cleared out that back gold mine, and they're looking to set up that second pit mine. And just in time, Horseman is coming to put a stop to that. So no second pit mine for the Malians for the time being. 2 horsemen coming out. They shouldn't have too much of an issue dealing with this current force here. Just a single archer and a javelin thrower. And yeah, okay. No more. Let's see. Yep, we're still queuing up horsemen, another couple horsemen in the tank, alongside some Yumi is starting to come out now. We'll see how Malians decide to respond to this. And one Musafari warrior getting on top of the deer pack, forcing Japan off of this forward-facing deer pack. If he's going to want to take this, he's going to need either commit some army or maybe potentially build some walls and just sort of protect this. But he opts for the couple of Yumi sitting around in his base, and it looks like this Musafari actually gets forgotten about and loses that unit right off the bat. A little too early to be losing his military like this. But as we can see, he was clearly preoccupied at trying to get a handle on the second pit mine, which he finally does force these horsemen off of. And now we'll see exactly where he wants to go. I would expect to see either Japan look to contest that second pit mine again, or potentially even rotate over and try to get some damage on his first pit mine. That being said, we do have our first cattle ranch up. 3 cows in the bag, providing a total of 75 food per minute. And it looks like he does have the second one ready to go. Already 2 cows queued up. Wouldn't be surprised to see a third one coming up. Sure. Oh, actually, it's already up. And it's going to join the pasture. So, and second cow's up. Yep. So cow economy is well on its way. Meanwhile, the second pit mine is about to be fully online here. We got, let's see, one villager just finishing up these houses, getting that mining camp down so he can start mining this gold as well. And yep, okay, here's the wall. So Japan's walled off, making use of these narrow little choke points that all these cliffs and ridges provide in the middle of the map, just to make it much more difficult for any sort of melee units to come over here and harass this deer line along with this outpost. Would like to see maybe these Yumi not necessarily too needed over there anymore, but we have an engagement happening at the second pit mine. Yumi horsemen coming up against the Donzos and javelin throwers. So Donzos, fantastic melee unit, kind of Malians. Both of these really the Malian staple infantry. But Donzos are spearmen that do actually have a ranged javelin throw on cooldown. So very strong, just sort of all-rounder unit. But he does manage to force the Malians off of this pit mine. And he doesn't look like he's fully committed to actually trying to destroy any of these houses quite yet. Maybe he's a little afraid of an extra push. But reinforcements are here. And Japanese army is looking significantly stronger than the Malians at the moment. Quite a number of Yumi, total of 16 running around the map. A little bit split, but he is looking to maybe get some villager pressure with these horsemen. Get a little bit of a flank behind the base. But yeah, Yumi continuing to build up. So Malian are going to have to be a little bit careful. That being said, javelin throwers are a fantastic unit against any archers, as they do get their actual bonus is against ranged, right? So they have a +4 attack against ranged. Meanwhile, the normal archers, right, would have that +4 against light infantry. Japan getting a little bit too aggressive, walking into that TC range and taking a good bit of damage there. Nobody goes down though, and we have now a total of 12 cows up and running. So this cow boom is definitely here, and it's going to be more and more difficult for Japan to keep up. But looks like we have our first bannerman out, although I don't see him quite yet. Oh, he actually picked up the Yumi bannerman. Opts for the archer bannerman instead of horsemen. Just wants to keep those horses there really for the front line and make use of his Yumi Ashigaru as the main damage dealing force. I'm a little surprised to see, him not really committing to trying to deal with this second pit mine. But that being said, it is towards the back of the base. It's going to be a little bit harder to reinforce and protect his army, or at least retreat from. And it looks like we have Malians chasing Japan, killing off a couple of, looks like a Yumi Ashigar. They're likely going to get that horseman. Oh, and he gets away. Oh, horseman out of position here. Very likely going to go down. Yeah. Unfortunate loss there. Deer Pack's about to be up, so we'll see exactly where he decides to pivot. It looks like it's most likely going to be getting back on these free farms. Total of right here, 9 farms built for free. That's, almost 700, 685 or so wood that he did not have to spend, and that's already here for him. Makes, the Kura storehouse really does make the transition off of your, the food on the map, off of your sheep, just so much easier. And looks like Japan is setting up to just play a little bit of a longer game here, building up these walls, protect himself from any potential raids. He's actually kind of backed off of the military production, and unfortunately this wall is a little bit too late. The Malians are here, and they're out for blood. No villagers killed yet across the board. And okay, well, looks like we have another engagement coming in. One Donzo goes down. Yeah, okay, floating gate is up, and he does drop his first Yorishiro onto the stable. So Yorishiro is the main, the real benefit of the floating gate. It gives an extra 125% production speed to any building. This slowly gets produced over time. I believe it's about every 100 seconds or so. So first one comes down, and we do have mounted samurai on the way. One already out. So this is where, okay, we got a little Vanguard scout over here. Might pick off a villager if he doesn't catch this. But once these mounted samurai build up, we're very likely just gonna see this, the sort of standard samurai Yumi Ashigaru comp, which is, while it may be standard, it is very, very strong. So we'll see exactly what he wants to do here. But taking a bit of a fight here that he maybe shouldn't be. Does lose one of his samurai, but it's just kind of trying to chip away at this army a little bit. Oh, and we have I'm not sure where. Looks like this priest took a wrong turn somewhere. Walks through the Malian base. Looks like he was trying to get this back relic. Does not work out for him. But I would like to maybe see, assuming once this Yorishiro comes out in 25 seconds, this second stable will have it up. And, I think I would have rather have seen that monk try to take maybe these more neutral relics instead of the one behind the Malian base. But with both civs at Castle Age, I would definitely expect to see a bit of a contention for relics, or at least, monks sneaking out and trying to grab them where they can. That being said, this Mounted Samurai front line, while they are going to go down here, every single one, a bit unfortunate. He probably should have just held back, maybe healed up with the Shinto priest that he does have. Malian's doing a very good job of keeping that samurai count down. Once, as with a lot of Knight Civs, right? Once those knights hit sort of a critical mass, they become a significant problem. But he is doing a very good job at keeping them down. That being said, we are only down to 4 Donzos. So these Mounted Samurai are about to have a very good time. And you can see it already happening here. Just running in, kind of tanking the damage. Oof. Oh, and he does actually go down. So that is our poison javelins, right? Javelin throwers. Another great reason to play the Malians, right? Javelin throwers, well, they do get a bonus only to the ranged infantry. They also have these fancy little poison javelins, 3 additional damage over 6 seconds. And it does stack. So you really have to watch out. These guys can put out a lot of damage against just about anyone. And he is just walking into the base, going to kill another Shinto priest. I don't know if Orange just isn't seeing these priests and their padding, but he is just walking them right through the Malian army. And that's the second priest that's just fallen for really no reason. But we can see, it looks like Malians are looking to protect some of these neutral relics and, get ready to take them. But at the moment we have 1 priest coming out for the Malians. He's going to start collecting those relics. Unfortunately, we really should see Japan with at least 2, maybe even 3 relics at this point. And we're still sitting at none. Only 3 Mounted Samurai. And this is looking a little bit rough at the moment for Japan. Just not quite taking the best fights. Should have really, I think it would have been better for him to sort of do what he's doing now, which is pull his units back, build up a little bit of a force of, get that cavalry line up and running. He was really only dealing with javelin throwers and just kept sending in those samurai just 1, 2, 3 at a time, and they were just getting focused down. And this outpost looks like it very likely will go down. It does have arrow slits, but it's not really enough to deter 27 javelin throwers. And these javelin throwers are just going to ignore it and just go in and start trying to take off some of these villagers. Up to 6 villagers killed on the Malian side. Although that being said, Japan is still actually ahead in vill count. Not sure if maybe he had a little bit of idle time or not, but needless to say, we have this cow boom is, once again in full force. This is what, 3, 9, 12, 15 cows. No, 18 cows. And okay, nope. This is looking to be he's in a bit of a rough spot. And currently a lot of gold coming in, not too much food. We can see Malians up to almost 1,100 food per minute, alongside a very comfortable 1,100 gold per minute. So economically, this is a terrible spot for Japan to be in, and we might be closing in on the end of the game here, unless we can see Japan turn this one around. It looks like he does have 1 vill kind of just idling in the TC, unless it's an actual unit. But I would expect to see his second estate. What is this called? It's got his daimyo palace up, so he is going to be able to produce another bannerman. I would expect to see Mounted Samurai. I'm just given what he's trying to do with this comp. But this Malian army, the eco behind it, he's just really at this point able to outproduce. And it doesn't matter that he's got these Mounted Samurai. It doesn't matter that he's got a large chunk of Yumis. They're all just going down one at a time. And now we can see Malians actually building up these gates in the front of Japanese's base, really just taking full control of the front of this, where all of his military production is, including his Yorishiros. So this is just, it's going to be a real hard situation for him to pull back from. He does decide to go out of the map and take some of these exposed food sources, but Malians do sniff it out. These 2 Donzo that have been protecting the relic that he has since picked up, they do decide to come out and just poke around take a look at these neutral food sources, and he does find them. Doesn't look, he likely won't be getting any kills, but just this alone is so much idle time on his food. He's already, he's at half or less than half of the food income. Just almost nothing coming in. These farms completely untouched. Villagers, forced to garrison, forced to build horsemen instead of samurai, and they are just getting one shot by this huge, massive javelin throwers. This is very likely going to be GG. Not a lot he can do here, unfortunately. At this point, this wall of gates fully up and running. What a fantastic. Yep, okay. And yeah, he's just, even with these javelin throwers, he's just looking to just take down the last of his production here. 10, yeah, I mean, we have 14 villagers garrisoned. This is just not a good situation for him to be in. He does manage to get some villagers back on this food, but he's idling with 450 food, almost 1,000 food per minute down from the Malians. So there's just, realistically no way for him to come back from this. Never mind that the military count is already just so skewed in the Malian favor. These javelin throwers are just some fantastic ranged units. Maybe, with the poison javelins, maybe some of the best archers in the game, as unique archers, I should say, really. But GG does come in. Japanese they had a bit of pressure early. He just really couldn't find an opportunity to slow down that eco boom from the Malians, and it does just unfortunately end in Japan's loss. So well played to both players. Thank you for tuning into today's episode of Combat Clash. If you're itching for another round, take a look at some of our recent clashes on the left side of your screen. And of course, if you'd like to see more of this and similar content, do be so kind as to hit that thumbs up button and subscribe. So long, and I will see you for another round of Combat Clash.